Hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Something's happening in short order. We're going to tell you about it. But if you want to see how wonderfully promised this society is, well, you're going to join us. And if you're on YouTube, well, you better stay tuned. And if you're not, tell your friends. Listen on Radio Cayman and on YouTube simultaneously. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome, Mike, and thanks again for joining us. And it truly is an honor. And I want to thank our good colleague, Ms. Anita Fawcett-Khan, for helping us to facilitate this discussion. I honestly sit in the company of some wonderful people, and I think it's going to be great. I'm going to be graced the stage very shortly to see what promise lies ahead. And I think sometimes, we don't truly appreciate what we have until we really get a chance to pay attention and draw alongside. And I think today, as I was preparing for the discussion, I thought, this is why this country is such a magnificent place. Now, through you, I know in the past, we had a chance to chat. Your other cohorts came on recently with us. I thought, wow, is this what the country looks like? Then we're going to really be promising. But let's start with you first. I mean, what do you think about where we are now, 2022?
Yes, absolutely. We are definitely in 2022.
Okay, that's a good start.
Yes.
It's a Tuesday.
It is only Tuesday.
I don't know, somewhere it feels like a Thursday. And August, was it the 3rd? Was it?
August 7th.
The 7th, okay. So it was 4 days early. 3/7, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So on August 7th, if anybody does not already know, mark your calendars because it is the Miss Cayman Islands Universe pageant. And we are so excited to be here today. Thank you so much for having our contestants on. I know that they're excited to speak, to get the public ready to know who they are. There's so many other things that's coming up before the pageant, and we're here to talk about that. They have the motorcade coming up on July 23rd, as well as People's Choice Awards. So you guys better keep an eye out for each one of these amazing contestants because they're going to keep you updated with their journey to the crown.
You know what? It's a journey, and it's something that I think is not just for you but it's for us to draw alongside. I was speaking to Anita earlier, and I'm thinking, she should be here with me. But let's go around the table and as I was asking earlier, introduce ourselves. I think all of the community, even me on social media, following your postings and the like. I was commending your adornment on your ears. The jewelry looks fantastic.
Thank you. I'm contestant number 3, Lisa Evans.
Welcome. And your sponsor, what's Lisa?
I'm sponsored by One Heart Yoga and Apothecary.
All right.
Hi everyone, I am Haley Grizel. I am your contestant number 5, and I am proudly sponsored by Kirk Freeport.
Good afternoon, Cayman. This is your contestant number 7, Tiffany Connolly, and I am greatly sponsored by Island Naturals and Peripheral.
When I listen to each of you and then recognizing that this is a partnership from the perspective of not just us as your family, but us as the corporate community, the sponsorship. And it isn't just the sash and, all that embodies, is drawn alongside and being able to represent. Could I probably first ask, maybe, Ms. Haley, from your perspective, what made you want to get into pageantry and to enter Miss Cayman Universe?
Personally, I feel it's been a long time coming. Honestly, this past year since the last pageant, I felt a greater need to gain a greater sense of self and also strengthen my relationship with the community. Awareness of the issues we face and our strengths, I feel, is of utmost importance, no matter what stage we are in life and our endeavors for the future. So I feel that this is a great platform, a great place to start, and here I am today. All
right. Elisa, what about you? What made you want to enter this time and get into pageantry?
It was very spur of the moment. It was kind of a last-minute decision, but also I've been going through some personal struggles, and it was a kind of a outlet for me to prove to myself that I have the strength to do whatever it is that I'm motivated to do in my life.
Sometimes adversity disables character. And Tiffany, what about you?
Well, I've been in pageantry since I was maybe 6 or 7.
5.5, I think it was.
Yes, I think it was 5.5. You're right.
I checked.
So I'm thankful to my mother for always putting me in situations and placing me in the right place at the right time to have opportunities to better myself and to be a well-rounded woman like her. Entering this year was something that I have been thinking about since last year, June, and then I officially decided to enter in October, and I've been working on it, and I just feel that the Miss Cayman Islands Universe pageant is a platform where it's like a megaphone for all of the situations and things that I'm interested in and want to advocate for. So I want to really use this platform to speak loudly and proudly about the things I'm excited and passionate about.
I think that's the thing, that we find an opportunity to echo something that is important to us, to draw maybe added attention to something that people are singing about but not necessarily getting traction, or something that people are ignoring. Blessed Mr. Rupert would always say, the Bacchus area constantly, being littered. And he was a champion for that, so much so that we understand the importance of that. But it could be anything. I want to talk, maybe after we come back from the break, about the platform, about your cause, about the idea to use this collective voice for better. And maybe picking up on what Lisa shared, this opportunity for personal growth and development. We all go through certain things. I mean, how do we make sure that positions us better so that we help not ourselves, but others as well? Would that be fine?
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
Right. We're going to pause. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, please join us. Don't let me have all the fun. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Experience Capella Music Festival as a VIP Saturday, July 16th on the Festival Green at Camana Bay with music legend Michael Bolton, Barris Hammond, Maxi Priest, Wyclef Jean, and Charlie XCX. VIP and premium VIP experiences available. For package info and ticket purchases, visit CapellaMusicFestival.com. Brought to you by Camana Bay, Cayman Islands Department of Tourism, Corona, Cayman Airways, Coca-Cola.
Commission for Standards in Public Life reminds all persons subject to the Standards in Public Life Act that declarations are due by 30th of July. If you're struggling to complete your annual declarations of interest, the Commission for Standards in Public Life has a new tutorial video available to provide further guidance. Visit Standards in Public Life Commission.ky/register of interest to view the tutorial video today.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And as Ms. Latrice reminded us, August the 7th. Mark your calendars because it's going to be, the 6th. See, 3 and 6 and 7, 1 and 8 and 9. We'll tell you before you you don't listen today. But Ms. Latrice, if I may ask you, and I want you to share before I distract us any further and gain my thoughts. What do you want the listeners to know? Because I'm going to get a chance to chat with these wonderful ladies in a few minutes on my own. So thank you for trusting them with me. What do you want the listeners to know? I mean, the pageant is not even a month away. It's very short order. The motorcade is coming up. It's the next weekend. So we have a lot to do, and we can draw alongside them. Share with us.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having us on air. Listeners, just mark your calendars. July 23rd is going to be the annual Miss Cayman Islands Motorcade. So whoever your favorite district is, go out to that spot. Support these girls along the trail. We should be posting what that trail is on our Facebook, so look out for that, Miss Cayman Universe. Check out our Facebook for all of the different updates. Follow the girls. They'll also have the updates. So that date is July 23rd, the annual motorcade. And then very soon they will be announcing the People's Choice Award, where everybody can go online, vote for their favorite contestant. Of course, there is a People's Choice Award, which one of these contestants will definitely win. All right, and then, of course, the last date you have to keep in mind is August 7th. Make sure to get your tickets early. August 6th. Make sure to get your tickets early at Funky Tangs and Sand Angels because they sell out fast. Okay, so those are the 3 important must-dos.
I was looking at some of the information I had earlier, and I'm thinking there's so much coming at you guys now. Not just your work commitments, your personal lives, family, but the preparation, and even the treats of myself. I'm looking at my notes, saying one thing and reading something else, right? How do you balance all of this? Because this is not just preparation for, the 6th. This is continuation of what is to come. So, Tiffany, your perspective, because there has to be a whole lot happening.
Well, just last night I was up till 2. Well, this morning I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And I am someone who I need to see exactly minute by minute what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to write it down. I usually don't look back at it, but once it's written down, I can at least say in my head, I know that I had 3 things to do today, 4 things to do. And I'm not as tech savvy as people think I am, as a 24-year-old should be. So I'm more pen and paper, but I think it's just prioritizing and making sure that the things that need to get done, and making sure that they have the most energy put into them, because the things that come after will fall easily in place.
Yeah. Haley, that sense of scheduling, programming, self-discipline, you got to be a self-starter. There are things that we all want, but sometimes we get overwhelmed, we get bombarded. They're competing interests. I've tried it, but it's not possible. I can't have breakfast while I'm showering. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Even with soup.
Unless you really believe in yourself.
Hey, I believe in myself, man. So we got to we got to prioritize and stuff.
Absolutely. You know that saying, you make a plan, then you hear God laughing?
Loudly.
You can do all the scheduling. You can have your calendar set. You can have your hours set for each day, each week. But you also need to be adaptable. You need to be adaptable to change. And I feel like that's a quality I really harnessed in these past couple of months. But I find that it's something that is a quality that Caymanians have as a whole. And just to go with the flow of things and to really test that skill to really harness that quality in yourself has been one of the most rewarding aspects of this pageant, to expose yourself to new and ever-changing situations. I feel like that has been one of the most unfamiliar territories for me, just because I do come from more like structured, like more autonomy of my schedule, but now it's just wherever I go, I gotta go.
Yeah, and there's someone else dictating sometimes, not just the direction, but the pace and expectations. So from that, Lisa, how do you find out? You know, here to say it's going to be adaptable, but there are those of us who are very structured and we like it. This. We're not pointing the fingers at Tiffany. We're not going to do that today. What about you?
I mean, well, naturally, I'm not very structured, but thankfully this pageant has like molded me into being more of a organized individual, and I'm actually very grateful. The committee has been very attentive to us, and they've created opportunities for us to do life coaching and similar activities to kind of help managing the stress that comes with entering a pageant, and it's been... I'm just very thankful for that.
If I could, unless you want to jump in, Tiffany?
I just wanted to say that as well as the committee giving us all these opportunities, I think the pageant itself, like making sure that you have your outfits in order, even though it might change, at least you know if the event date changed or time changed, you had the things leading up to it in place, because we all have the same 24 hours in a day. You know, I think it just comes down to, that's why I like scheduling, just so that I know I can accommodate for each and every single one of those hours and those minutes, and there's some people who don't get that. So I try to take advantage of every single one.
And there are some of us who, I'll just wing it. Some of us who can ad-lib. We're that kind of person that will go in and we think we'll manage, and we probably can. And that, I think, is different from being, as you shared, being adaptable, so that you can pivot. The nice words to use. But then, how do you ensure that you still maintain your sense of self? Because we're all, wonderfully made in our own particular image, right? From your perspective, Ms. Grizel?
Yes, I must say that, for lack of better words, just really it really shows what you're made of. I always use this analogy of saying life is hot water, and you could harden like an egg or soften like pasta. It all really does depend on you. And I find that throughout this experience so far, I found myself like learning new things as well as unlearning the old things, the old habitual routines that I may have had before that may not have been serving me as well as what is required for this demanding journey. So I find that making room, I will say making room to be adaptable, to be more accommodating to not just your own schedule, but to other people's schedules, other contestants' schedules. I feel like that has been very opportunistic to fine-tune.
Yeah. I think as I listen to you, I'm recognizing that we are, very, very different, but we're actually more alike. And everyone has, at some point going through the same thing in a different way. Latrice, as carefully, as sort of the mentor and the chaperone, I mean, these young ladies are looking to you, the committee, and even to us as their extended families for added assistance, sometimes literally to help them to get from one point to the next, but also to make sure that, they manage it. How do you draw alongside them to ensure that they get what they want?
Absolutely. I mean, being there, done that. I mean, all we can do is give advice, right? I mean, like you said, they're managing schedules, they're managing outfits, and as I want to say, what was the right word? As vain as that may sound, it is a real thing because, a lot of us deal with that anyway on a day-to-day basis. But when you put yourself on a platform such as, vying for the crown of Miss Universe pageant, everybody, the society, community, everybody has some sort of expectation about how you act, how you look, regardless of what time of day it is. So for them to always have to present that perfect person, that perfect character. I think that, you know, they're all doing such a great job because everybody's coming from a different background. You know, everybody has a different body type, but you're still, you know, holding on to this particular title that so many people have their own sort of, you know, ideology or their misconception of what that title should look like, you know. And I think that, you know, doing this pageant, you know, and watching it grow from the time I've entered in 2014 to where it is now in 2020, not just locally but internationally. You've even find that there are transgender women who are applying, you know, so beauty comes in all shapes and sizes, all forms, and this is that platform, you know, that we want to uphold. We want to ensure that young women between the ages of 18 and 27 can get that guidance and you know, that sort of programming to develop into a person, you know, a well-rounded, functioning person in society, whether they, you know, get top 3 and get a scholarship, or, you know, end up just being one of the contestants who, you know, went through the process. Everybody's coming out with that title as Miss Cayman Islands, and they're coming out with the training, and, you know, so many doors can open for the individuals. You know, some people go into business, they continue their education, you know, they partner up, they get into media, modeling, and I don't think that there is such a program existing in Cayman in any way, shape, or form. You know, there's, you know, all these other little, like, okay, you can win a scholarship, write an essay, or, hey, apply to this, get this internship. But this is a, you know, 3 to 6 month training program, you know, specifically targeting, you know, young women between those ages of 18, 27 who want to pursue their education or some other level of, you know, enhancement in life.
And as I listen to you, I've been reflecting on it, you know, for a while now, as I shared with some prior to the coming on here. And it does do a lot for personal development, personal growth. And I'm hoping that as a society, you know, we're starting to see it possibly a bit more different than we did in the early days when it was just a beauty pageant. You just shared it succinctly. It's about training and development. If it's possible, perhaps I could ask of you, what are some of the things that you've, in this short journey, sort of discovered? Well, you choose if you want to share that. But have you discovered particular things about yourself that you didn't think, who wants to jump in first?
Oh, well, of course. I'm sure my sisters will agree that we've learned so much about ourselves and about being a woman in our community, because I was reading up on pageantry because I actually encouraged one of my other friends to enter the Miss World pageant that is also happening. And I said to her, being in a pageant is just like being in school. It's another course in life. And the pageant night is just the final exam. You know, it's like all of the training that you do leading up to it, the Toastmasters, etiquette dinner, the learning to speak in public, even this radio interview right now, being able to confidently answer questions and articulate your thoughts correctly and well and eloquently. I think all of those skills are things that you can take into being in business, being a teacher, being just an individual in your society. And I think I'm grateful for the experience to get to learn that with these 7 amazing ladies. So,
yeah. And with that, Ms. Haley, that growth, that development, there are times we're challenged. You know, Tiffany's analogy, well, hey, you're going to sit for a final exam, whether it's in high school, whether it's your professional examinations, whether you're sitting for your driver's license. I mean, you guys are going to soon do that too, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I know some of us might feel like, okay, this is how I learn. It's going to be different from somebody else. I might have to cram a few things in. Or, you know, I'm just taking it day by day, step by step. And yes, no, Tiffany said it so perfectly. It honestly is like an examination. It's just our final performance. And feeling like I'll be a student for the rest of my life, I feel that, you know, I can highly identify with that, because I'm not only learning different transferable skills, like you said, there's universality in that. The public speaking, the stage presence, just your overall presence in any room or stage, that really matters. Making your impression, making your mark on the world, on the platform that you have, whatever it may be, all of it starts with developmental courses or training experiences like this pageant.
And Lisa, from your perspective, I mean, there's a lot that happens in our lives, and not only from one birthday to the next or one decade to the next, but sometimes just one, weekend to the next. For you?
Well, for me, definitely, it seems so pretty on the outside because what you see is like these gorgeous girls and they're developed, but it's definitely a struggle. I would say for me, I picture it as like a metamorphosis, and we're struggling to get out of that cocoon, and then finally on pageant night, we're going to just spread our wings and look amazing. I know everyone's been working so hard, and you're definitely going to see that shine through come pageant night.
Without question.
I just want to pop off of what Lisa just said, the analogy or the metaphor of butterfly. I heard a quote a few weeks ago where it talks about the exact same amount of strength it takes for a butterfly to come out of its cocoon is the same strength it needs to fly. So if you open up a cocoon before its time, they probably won't survive. So the struggles that we're going through is what we need to be able to be successful. And I just wanted to share that.
No, awesome.
No, that's so true. I feel like I need to pop off of that as well. We're so cohesive. I love it. No, I also heard this quote. It's just, there is not one thing on this earth, not one living thing on this earth that is in full bloom all year round. Mm-hmm. And these transformational and transitional phases of life are so important, just as important as the final result that everyone's going to see on stage. So that's what I love, opportunities like this to speak on the radio or to have different interviews, different events, to engage with the public, so you see our journey, not just the final result. Just seeing us as humans, as other members of the public, to come forth and and pursue this. I feel like that is just, it's so incredible to really engage with our community.
And that's something I want to pick up on when we come back. But another trees unlike me, I'm at work, so you need to get back there. Yes. What other thoughts you want to leave with us?
I mean, like I said, I keep repeating, get your tickets early for the pageant. You don't want to be trying to figure out if it's going to be streaming online or standing outside of the Westin trying to get tickets. They're going to be gone. So get your tickets at Funky Tanks and Sand Angels for August 6th, okay? And then for everybody else, on July 23rd, that's next weekend, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to have the motorcade, and that's always fun. The girls are going to be out there, take some horns, blow the horns if you see them passing in the Jeeps. It's going to be really, really fun. So all the supporters, get out on July 23rd.
I mean, I was even thinking of polishing up my Pinto so I can come along, but that's...
Oh, yeah.
All right, when we come back, I want to ask more about this opportunity and the voice that you can lend to our community and the things that you want to champion. And if there are particular things in particular you want to talk about, let's talk about that. All right, stay tuned. We'll join us right after the break.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Tune in Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. for the Daily Sports Report, covering local, regional, and international sports. Proudly brought to you by Dr. Wayne Porter, offering a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. Call 946-9020 to book your appointment today.
The Department of Agriculture is hosting a 5-day agro-processing workshop from the 18th to the 22nd of July at Clifton Hunter High School from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The workshop is ideal for farmers seeking to add value to their crops or individuals interested in starting or improving an agro-processing business. Upgrade your skills in good manufacturing practices, principles of agro-processing, and the manufacturing of purees, juices, jams, sauce, and more. Interested agro-producers are invited to apply at doa.gov.ky website. Applications will be screened and only 20 people will be selected. The cost is $150 and participants must be 18 years or older. Terms and conditions apply.
Ray, are we ready for the next You Are Saying?
Yep, this time the topic is Dappies. Yep, that's Ghost to You tourists.
What's your Dappies?
I never believed them, but I have a Dapper story. So if you tune in, you can hear my story and you can call in and tell me your Dapper stories, because we know there's people out there that got Dapper stories that afraid to talk about it. So call in and tell us your Dapper story.
Dappies on the next You Are Saying.
Next You Are Saying. Boy, stop touching me. I'm real. I just clear skin like this. I know I need to get some sun.
You look like a Dappy. So Friday the 15th.
Friday the 15th, join us for Siwa Saying Dappies.
Siwa Saying is a special feature of Talk Today with contributions from the National Museum, a language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And it's really an honor to be able to sit here. I said to these wonderful ladies earlier that I almost feel, in a sense, that I am seated here in a position of true privilege to be able to talk to you, and through you appreciate what we have as we speak to the 3 of our 7 contestants. 8. Yeah, actually 9, because I'm sort of the unofficial one. Yeah, I was going to enter. I started, and for Miss Cayman Universe now, contestant number 3, Miss Lisa Evans, contestant number 5, Miss Haley Grizel, and of course number 7, Miss Tiffany Leanne Conley. I'm struggling today only from the perspective that I think so many times as parents we don't see how important it is for you and as a community as you go through this journey. We focus as a wider community on that final exam, as Tiffany referenced. That evening you're on stage, but there's so much that goes on beforehand. Could I ask then, the preparation, what are some of the things you do? We referenced the public speaking and the personal training. But let's talk about that first. What are some of the things that we may not see that happens and unfolds behind the scenes? Lisa, you want to start?
Well, definitely every other day in the week, every evening, we have training that's designated from the Miss Cayman Islands Universe Committee. However, I know for a fact we have our own personal training behind the scenes that, the other girls aren't necessarily aware of, and that basically books out our entire life until the pageant. So we do public speaking, as Tiffany mentioned. We do runway training. We work on basically the choreography of the actual pageant itself, and there's just a lot that goes into this, more so than you would imagine.
And this is the part I think that where those skill sets are transferable. They'll take you through life as always. But with that in mind, Ms. Haley, again, the public doesn't understand that you're sort of competing, but you're also collaborating. There's a show that evening for us as the audience, but each of you are presenting yourselves with a certain expectation. So with that in mind, what about the expectation of the wider community, but the committee itself? They put you on a schedule. They expect a particular thing to transpire. How does that play out for you?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say, I really want to touch base on you mentioning like us as a group, going into this from the beginning, I said I was looking forward to learning with these girls, but from these girls as well, with varying levels of experience and just how they'll grow as well. It's something to be seen behind the scenes. And, unfortunately, the public may not get to see that, but when they hear us in the interviews, when they see us on stage, or when they see us in the motorcade, or just in everyday life, they'll see our growth. They'll see just how we present ourselves, and it's just like, you're blossoming, you are becoming, and that is just incredible. As for the preparations, I must say, like, the committee has gone above and beyond to schedule us, but schedule us well, so that it can't interfere with our daily lives. I mean, there is overlap, and again, making room, being adaptable, but our structures have, I feel, have grown as well with our boundaries and our limits and how we want to push the envelope with ourselves. So I found that to be absolutely incredible to just see unfold within myself, within the pageants and with the committee, because we become, I feel, a very cohesive unit where we're all integral cogs in this winding clock, but we do like mesh well together, and I feel like that is just so important. It can be a side effect of the whole experience, because it's, you go in just saying, I want to learn, I want to develop, I want to do this, that, and the other, but this is a side effect I would love to have.
I think you're going to have long-lasting friendships.
I agree wholeheartedly with both of you. I think for preparation, though, as well as the scheduling from the committee, as well as all of our rehearsals together, it's about the individual work that you put in that really makes or breaks each individual contestant. I know personally, like I said, I've planned for this since October of last year. I've been dedicating myself to taking courses in pageantry. I've been going to Toastmasters. They're probably listening and are like, you haven't been there in a few weeks. And I'm like, because I'm now at Miss Cayman rehearsals, but I had started going back to Toastmaster training. And I think it's all about a mental game, because if you win mentally, you've already won the race that you started. And I think it's about making sure that you know who you are and being so solid in why you entered, why you're doing this, what your purpose is, that nothing can really fray you, nothing can shake you, and if it does, you can bounce back. I think it's important that you are aware of the people around you and you are mindful of the things that they're going through. Like Latrice mentioned earlier, we're all coming from different backgrounds, different levels of experience, so being willing to lend a hand when someone needs it. And we talked about this in orientation too, when it's a group, it's the Miss Cayman contestants. Only on the night of are we seen as individuals. Really and truly, we are seen as 2022's contestants. And I think that's very important for us to keep in mind when going to our events, and making sure that if someone has something on the back of their dress, that you help her take it off, because it's not just going to look bad on her, it's going to look bad on us, and then us turns into Cayman. And if we're really in this for the right reasons, that should be the big picture, that we're doing this for Cayman, and win, lose, draw, whoever is the queen on August 6th, I think it's very important that we all support her, because she is then representing Cayman, and she is someone who I think we all need to back and be behind.
This is it. I mean, a rising tide floats all the ships. We've always heard from, and with that level of collaboration, you're working as a team. I commend you for that. I can see the friendships. I can see, there is a competition, but there's also that healthy love and respect and admiration that you have for each other. And that builds us.
They call it pageant sisters, right? And when you think of siblings, it's like they drive you crazy 1 second, and then the next second they do something so heartwarming. It's like, that's why you're my sister.
That's the love that transcends, almost everything, right? And I think this is where, as I look at you, I see, sense, and truly can respect that love that you have for each other.
Thank you.
The idea that, as Tiffany said, if this one is going in this space, make sure that she's adjusted properly, so she presents well, but it reflects on us. Maybe that's the example as a wider community we need to start to do that. One hand, washes the other. We don't seem to do that. We want to tear down each other.
Yeah, I think it's very important. I was saying this to a friend a few days ago that I think we could have a much better and brighter future for our kids if we focus on having collaborative and incorporating activities in our community that include our kids, not just for our kids so that they are being watched, not just so that they are in a holding place, but something that will brighten them up inside, light a blazing flame inside their soul and their spirit that's going to make them become the person that they really want to be and that they set out to be. I think we could have a completely different Cayman in 5 or 6 years. And I say 5 or 6, not 5 or 10, because I want it to be less than 10, because I want our kids to really find their full potential. And I think that can only be found if the adults in our community light the flame.
Absolutely. I must jump onto that because someone perfectly captured it, that we need to stop preparing our kids for the world and start preparing the world for our kids. And that does include us as well. We are in that transitional phase of becoming full-fledged members of society within our own rights. And now is I feel the most opportune time for us to become aware of all of the issues at hand and all the disparities in any and every aspect of not just Cayman's community, but the global community. Because once the Queen, enters the international stage, they are representing Cayman. However, they are also representing the world, and every country representative is going to be doing the same thing. And to just come together, I feel, to just congregate into that awareness of each other's backgrounds. We have so many perspectives coming towards this pageant and our community locally that to just understand what it is like on a global scale, I feel like this is the most opportune time to do so.
When we come back from the break, can I ask you if you would be comfortable share a little bit more with the public about each of you, who you are. Some of us know, and a few things that you say that I realize that we take so much for granted. Oh, that's so-and-so a granddaughter. Oh, that's so-and-so a sister. And we know those things. But if you were comfortable, share as you wish. And then I want to ask about your causes, what it motivates you, what you would like to use this platform and this opportunity. After the break, we talk about that.
Yeah.
All right. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman,
the voice,
the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. Today's biggest news.
The Department of Commerce and Investment website, www.dci.gov.ky, is currently down, while DCI says they are working as quickly as possible to fix the problem. In the meantime, the public counter is open at the Government Administration Building on the ground floor with customer service associates available to assist. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Ukraine's military says it has destroyed a Russian ammunition depot in the southern city of Nova Kakhovka, killing dozens of soldiers in an attack apparently involving U.S.-supplied missiles. However, Russian occupation officials say homes and warehouses were hit, leaving 7 dead and up to 80 hurt. It was not possible to verify the extent of damage or casualties. And U.S. First Lady Jill Biden has apologized for likening Hispanic people to tacos in a botched compliment. Mrs. Biden was addressing Latinos in Texas on Monday when she referenced the traditional Mexican snack in her speech. The National Association of Hispanic Journalists responded, "We are not tacos." On Tuesday, her press secretary said Mrs. Biden was sorry and admires the Hispanic community. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Subway is giving you flavor around the clock with the new Chicken Squad sandwich options. Try the classic chicken and bacon ranch, the sweet and savory barbecue chicken, or the chicken cordon bleu. 3 new appetizing and delicious sub options that you can also make into a wrap. The Chicken Squad is available at Subway for only a limited time. Subway, giving you something to cluck about.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Sports Extra, keeping you informed.
Competitive.
The fact that it's local.
Premier local sports show on your radio. Tuesdays 7 to 8 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
Highlights of local sports around the Cayman Islands.
If you would love to have your association, federation, your club, coaches, athletes, or events featured on our show, please email sportsextracayman@gmail.com. That's sportsextracayman@gmail.com. Also, look for us on Facebook.
Sounds good.
Sports Extra, tonight following the information hour.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. We're speaking to 3 of the 8 contestants in the Miss Cayman Universe: Lisa Evans, Haley Grizel, and Tiffany Connolly. And August the 6th, now there's a motorcade on the 23rd, so not this weekend, but the following weekend. As we were going into the break, I was asking if you were okay with sharing, with some of our listeners a little bit more about yourselves. To whatever extent, I'll go first. Hi, I'm not just kidding. Miss Lisa, would you want to start first?
Definitely. I'll start off by saying the platform for the pageant is the National Trust of the Cayman Islands, and they fight to preserve our culture and our heritage, and that's super important nowadays, especially. But my personal platform would be mental health awareness. Mm-hmm. And it's personal for me just because I've gone through depression and anxiety for basically all my life, and it's a very debilitating thing to go through. And I also suffer from trigeminal neuralgia. It's really difficult to speak about. It's one of the most painful medical conditions, and
sometimes physicians don't really appreciate when you tell them you feel this nerve pain. They give you some medication. You go, that doesn't help, bro.
Yeah.
I feel you.
And this pageant, I just wanted to inspire others to fight for what they really want in life and not let anything stop them. So that's kind of my motivation.
I commend your spirit. I commend your courage for sharing, and the
Thank
fact
you.
that so many of us, have to appreciate that, mental health is significant, and so many of us are not as cognizant of the impact on us. But thank you much, Ms. Lisa. All right. Ms. Haley.
Hi, yes. I must say, as much as I will love and advocate for the National Trust, I feel like it is of utmost importance to bring our own personal platforms to life. And mine is all about self-empowerment and universal access to healthcare rights. And it's because of the very vast array of our conditions. It could be mentally, it could be physically, emotionally, and now I feel that maybe the discussion has been suppressed for so long that now it's starting to come to life, and all of a sudden it is one of the most prominent issues in society. It's the unspoken truths that don't that either don't get the attention that they deserve or are ignored when they are heard. Mm-hmm. And I feel that as an aspiring doctor myself, I would want to heavily advocate for the patient perspective as well. I mean, aspiring to become a doctor stemmed from simply being a patient myself, and all that I've endured in my own file, my own patient file, and just knowing firsthand would allow so many doctors, no matter what the practice, to really just identify and feel a greater compassion and just humanity towards their patients, towards themselves, their colleagues, everybody. Just a greater need for perspective would be just, it could be all you need, honestly.
And I think we take for granted sometimes not just the universal access to healthcare, but our approach. Some would say, well, that should be one of the our basic fundamental human rights, and yet whether in other countries or even in our own, how many of us have that same level of access? Yeah,
it's one of the many disparities that the world faces, and including our own community. Yeah. For me, it's accessibility, adequacy, and immediate. And
affordability. Huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's that accessibility.
Yep, yep. I'm with you, man. Thank you. And I can be a champion with you. Please join on me. Miss Tiffany.
Hello. Yes, so I'm Tiffany Connolly, and I'm the owner of Piece of Paradise, which is a company I started 2 years ago, which aims to reuse old furniture and upcycle it rather than throwing it away. That being said, I'm someone who likes to advocate for the opening of a reuse center, and I've said that to you so many times on here before, but it is one of the most pressing environmental issues here in the Cayman Islands. The Georgetown landfill is something that everyone has been trying to find solutions for, and thankfully the process has been starting on that. And building a safer, more sustainable world is not an easy task, but I encourage our community to embrace what is a circular economy. So myself and a few others are striving to open a community shed, which will create a space where people can bring old things and find new things instead of throwing away. It's upcycling and reusing, and there's really no cons to opening a reuse center other than the person who has to pay the bill. So I think there are a few things that we can think of that will be beneficial from that. Create a cleaner, greener community. Several new jobs will be created. The landfill would be used to generate waste fueled energy rather than the way we do it now, and so many more opportunities could be had. It's really not just about the one building or a group of people, but it's about seeing beyond waste and how we can regenerate our community. Some ways to better manage waste are to remember the 7 R's. I really wish it was 8 because I know it would have been 1 for each contestant, but rethink, refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, regulate, and research.
Repeat.
And repeat. Yes. There we go. So I think Mark Nicol, he's no longer on island, but he and I continually correspond with each other about the hopes of getting this reuse center opened here in the Cayman Islands, and hopefully that's something that's in our near future.
As you first broached that to me, I was thinking that almost in every community there is some yard where you can go and find something. And it's not just that place where, that's a junkyard. That's someone who understood the importance of, keeping something because it's of use. And they kept it in a way that was organized. What you're sharing is a very structured approach now to ensuring that the community can access things so that they don't end up just being discarded.
Right, because when you throw away your couch because you want a new one because you painted your walls, it's not because it's broken and can't be used. But the old lady with the young kids who can't afford a couch, now she gets to go and get that one for $15, because you've brought it to a place where instead of throwing it away and no one getting to use it, the second time around it's being used in a way that brought so much more love and so much more brightness to this person's world. Because when you bought it, you were excited, I have a couch. When this person got it, it was probably one of the biggest things that has made their year, if not, so.
I think what it does too, it allows us to tap into creativity, to teach skills and to be able to demonstrate that this thing, still has a life beyond, what you see. But it may also cause us to value what we have. With that in mind, then that sort of helps us to, if you would agree to it, to talk about using a platform such as this to speak to the wider issues. First, with you, Ms. Haley, whether it's a medical practitioner or whether it's a patient, but we're all members of a community. Right. And healthcare, a strong, robust, dynamic, very competent, credible, and respected healthcare system is fundamental to the well-being of any society. How do we get to a space where people understand that, doing it this way, where, if you got the money, you can pay for it, and if you don't, well, too bad, you're going to suffer, or doing it this way where, hey, you have a healthcare need, it doesn't matter, just like the contestants, whether you're from different backgrounds or body types, you're a patient in need of something, here's a resource. It needs to be, as you said, accessible. It needs to be affordable. It needs to be that you can get to it when you need it. How do we get to that space?
Honestly, I feel like an important first step could be the abolishment, of segregation. I feel that our financial aspect of life it's so interconnected to our healthcare industry, our healthcare aspect of life. I feel that everything has become very separate of each other, that one doesn't influence the other. And I feel a more comprehensive, multidimensional practice of medicine, practice of life in every aspect would be super beneficial to understanding our medical needs, our overall quality of life needs, that one prescription may benefit another patient compared to another. So I feel that awareness of the need for a more integrative concept, I feel that would be the first strong step forward into a more universal, accessible, and immediate form of health.
Recognizing that we shared all the costs, because we share in all the consequences. So let it be not, as you shared, not about who has the money, whether you can get it, who has the need, and being available. Lisa, with that, we're looking at this platform to bring attention to many things. For you, the idea that I think mental health awareness, there are probably very few of us who appreciate that at some point in time, we probably could have been diagnosed had we sought the help as being clinically depressed, but we know we didn't feel right for that period of time.
Yes, exactly.
But there's a stigma. So talk to us.
As well as the accessibility, as Haley was saying. Mental health isn't really covered by a lot of insurances here on the island, and it's really important. It's just as important as any other health. It is a part of your health, and there is a big stigma against it on the island. It's been like that since the beginning.
That's why.
And it's time to kind of change the perspective on mental health and realize that it is important, and it does affect your body. Actually, it affects your ability to do daily tasks, and it's important that you keep that part of yourself healthy. And I really want to bring awareness to that and help inspire the community to start working on that part of themselves.
I mean, it will affect your quality of life, your interactions and relations with others, your partners, your siblings, your co-workers, even just you with the environment. How do you hope through this platform to be able to influence that to the community and to see this as what it truly is?
Well, with my reign, if I win, I would love to work with the local charities that already work to bring awareness, such as the Alex Panton Foundation, the Cayman Crisis Center. I would really hope to start implementing, maybe visiting the schools and start educating the youth about why mental health is important, what it is, and just explain that, and also to the wider community as well.
And hopefully we address, just by our discussions publicly, the stigma. Some of us will say publicly, "Oh, I was," and will reference this. And people will be so sympathetic. "Oh, I didn't know you had cut your finger." And it was just, a little pinprick. But if you were going through something else that they couldn't see, they may look at you much more differently. I wonder if it's the same with going to the physician. You have a noticeable injury, you may get treatment then and there. But
it can be. Sorry.
No, good. I want you to jump in.
I'm so passionate about it, honestly. It really can be. I feel that more of a partnership should be established. I mean, we are so blessed to have a closer knit community as opposed to the rest of the world. There are many countries who do not have that ability to form a relationship with their physician. It's this doctor here and that doctor there, but here my GP has known me since before I was born, and not everybody can say that, but I feel that a patient-practitioner partnership is something that is still emerging in our communities and really not so heavily recognized as a valid form of healthcare. I feel that it has to be more dominating on the practitioner side because they specialize in learning about this. But what they've studied doesn't always have the better outcome than a patient who has experienced it for 20 years, 20 plus years.
And just generally speaking, and I'm like you, education and healthcare are things that, if ever I could get accused of being political or being too passionate, those could be, two things. But it's because, like you, I share how significant they are. Is it then that as physicians, as the healthcare professionals, that maybe some of us need to take a step back and understand that there needs to be more empathy? We don't know it all. Some of us are just cutting their teeth as we come into the community, but we act as if we're the be all and the end all. That level of humility, is that needed to be addressed?
I feel that is something that should be addressed on both sides. I feel that, prime example, the pandemic. I feel that we owe a great deal of our lives and quality of lives to our first responders, our doctors, our physicians, our nurses who go above and beyond. They're already demanding daily lives, their daily schedules. And I just feel that now it does go beyond the visibility aspect of a condition, and whether that be something that you can't readily see in front of you to treat, having that recognition of that concept of just, you can't always see what's in front of you. You could not see the virus. You couldn't see COVID, but you experienced it, and it is something that affected our entire community, and it's what brought us together. So there's no way that wouldn't be the the outcome for a patient-practitioner relationship.
And I think, as you shared, that's probably now where, as we move forward, back to Lisa's point, the idea of mental health and mental awareness. What has the last 2 or 3 years done to us? How has it impacted, our well-being, our quality of life? Tiffany, it's time that maybe aspects like the community shade could help us to be physical active, to come together and to appreciate the impact that we have on each other, but on our environment.
I agree. I think that it's important to know that people who've gone through a mental health issue or live with mental health issues are no different than people who think they don't, because we all do. And that's, I think, very important to note, that the person who was diagnosed and the person who's undiagnosed may have the same symptoms, but one is being treated and one is open about their issues and their struggles, and so they're able to identify their issues. And I am someone who sought help in life through art, honestly. Like, I think I actually have paint in my hair when I was getting out of the car. I think I saw paint because I was up last night working on a project, and that's how I deal with my mental health. That's my outlet, and that's why I work with some kids in schools and stuff, because I'm very passionate about getting that into them from a young age. Because I was not the kid, although I never shut up now, I was not the kid who talked about my problems. I was not the kid who was open about how I felt. I thought that was a weakness. And it wasn't because I thought my feelings were invalid. It was because I didn't know how to express them correctly. When I found art, I was able to say so much more, because, like they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I really think it's important for our community to have options for us to relieve our stress. I know that there's a rage room that recently opened, so some people are gonna go that route. I'm someone who would much rather paint my problems out, But there's people who will talk for hours, or people who just need to go for a walk. There's people who work out to de-stress. I don't really know about that one, but I think it's very important to have a way to release some of that stress, because TED Talk I was listening to a few days ago says, no tree eats its own fruit, no river drinks from itself. So if we lived in a world where we all did to give, and we lived to give to others, I think it would come full circle and we'd all be taken care of. That's something I've always believed in, that if we were all taking care of one another, we'd all be taken care of.
Right.
I was commenting that, man. If we all give all of ourselves, everybody did that, nobody will go without. But to your point, though, we're seeing the outlets, the avenues, the coping mechanisms. You know, a good friend, she would take a walk to decompress. That was important. Someone will go, to exercise in some way, whether it's a run or a swim. We all, have those outlets that we use. Sometimes not the healthiest. We'll go in the kitchen and we'll cook up a storm and eat everything. Some is for the garden.
I'll eat a pint of chocolate ice cream.
Hey, I'll join you.
It's so true. It's so true. It doesn't need to be a conventional way of expressing yourself, of relieving yourself, of healing yourself. The healthy self, heal thyself. And that is subjective to each individual. And I feel like something more personalized and tailored to each individual would really it would bring a level of healing that they can pay it forward.
Yeah. So, Lisa, with that, this is a relatively small community. We were probably more cohesive at some point. There's this growing shift. Look at the last couple of years in particular. We see the people who have given of themselves, and with great respect, we see other people, let's call them the policy makers and the politicians and the public pundits, who believe that what they're doing and saying is for the greater good. But is there now a need for us to step back and say, hey, is this thing working? Can it be better? And would a platform like Beauty Pageants, for instance, and this one, lend voice to the voiceless, lend and echo something that is resonating in the community, but not at a sufficient decibel level that is being heard at the top?
Definitely. It wouldn't just lend a voice. It would also provide the tools to actually make movement and make a change in the community. So definitely, I would say accessibility is very important. I personally do not have coverage for anything related to mental health, so I think it's super important that we definitely start making that a change.
And why is that? I mean, this is why I appreciate what you're sharing. We look at the community, healthcare. We may say, well, this one has health insurance with this company and at this level, sorry, or this one has it, and depending on what you have and how you access it, and even knowing what you have, but why should it be that? So, as pageant sisters, as pageantry, as that platform, how do you bring that voice so that as a public, we appreciate that you're not just advocating for something individual or vying for a crown because of a personal agenda. You actually maybe being universal and bring us to discussion.
Yeah, I said to my friend yesterday, I was like, whoever wins, I just really hope that they use their year to advocate for the girls that come after her, because it's so important for them to have that much more of an experience than you did. I think it's much like parents think, when you have a child, you think, I want them to have a better life than I did. And in doing so, you work so much harder for them to be able to have that life. So I think it's very important that using this platform can and will and does speak volumes to a lot of different categories in our lives, in our community. It's very important that we all come together to talk about them, though. You know what I mean? So instead of just what I think is important, not only would I talk about the Reuse Center, but I would also harp on mental health, and I would talk about financial illiteracy and healthcare, because all of them are important. So it would be ideal for someone to use this platform as a megaphone to speak to all of those.
A collective voice.
Yeah.
Huh? All right. And maybe at some point, and perhaps as I mentioned to Latrice, maybe after the pageant, because you have to be focused. It would be great. I'll make the public invitation, whether you are able to do it, whether you do it with me. But as the 8 of you sit together on a round table and have a panel discussion and see how there's that sense of unity, and there's that sense of community, but also there's that sense of presentation where you start to critique what is important. And now, for instance, if one contestant was to say, you know what, we should be looking at this thing because it's particular, you're probably fearful. How would the wider community respond to that? And then you get distracted by that thing and consume, and then you can't focus on it, and that'd be the one thing that tears you down.
Right.
But maybe after, the dust settles, we can talk about those things, the 1 day work week, the advocating for parents' rights for children and the like. Something that I won't distract you with, but I'll put that in your minds. And
okay. Just to, speaking of community, just to backtrack to the official platform of the pageant, the National Trust, it's important that we conserve our community, our heritage, our environment. So they enforce this through different through educating the youth and through creating traction with the government when there's an environment that they want to tear down because someone's trying to build something, which that's happening quite often now, and they're basically the superheroes who are trying to save what's left of Cayman.
Well, I commend you all, Miss.
I know, there's always something else.
No, of course.
No, just really speaking now into our official platform of the National Trust. It's that idea of just eradicating segregation between the different aspects of community, because it's so vast, their efforts. It's honestly incredible. They have their conservation, they have their education, all of their programs on their the history of Cayman, which we all have. We all have our roots here in some way, shape, or form. And I feel that if there was a fourth, there was a fourth on their, they divided up into categories of their education, their advocation, their history, the preservation of our culture, our actual heritage in all 3 islands, and our conservation efforts of our endemic species. I feel that it is not separate from the rest, because they all have a history, they all need that preservation, and they all are a part of our future as well. So I feel that this does translate into their efforts and our advocacy this year for them.
Yeah, well, I commend you for that. Any final thoughts, Ms. Tiffany?
Can I switch topics slightly?
Of course, you can do
anything you want. I just really want us to talk about the motorcade coming up on the 23rd of July, and I really want everyone to come out because it's next week Saturday, and we're starting at 9 a.m. We do know that yet, but we don't know where exactly we'll be starting quite yet. But we do know it'll be 9 a.m. next week Saturday, so just want everyone to come out.
If you're not up, we will be.
Yes.
We will have to promote it and remind our listeners.
I think it ties back in, though, in saying that, because we have been talking about community and us coming together and supporting one another. So that's one of the ways that even when I'm not in the pageant, I love the motorcade, because you see our country come out and support, and at our football games and different sporting events, we see when the Cayman Islands is its whole, and it feels so warm, and seeing all of us. And I just really want Cayman to get like a chair that we have, like how different countries have we need like a national chair, so that when we're doing these sporting events and big events, we just echo in the stadium. And I'm looking forward to next week Saturday.
We can do that.
Yes, we're gonna come up with it for sure.
Yeah, that's something. But this is where talking to you inspires me, but it also reminds me that we have so much more that we can and should be doing collectively. And I think as we support you, we see this not just as a pageant or a platform for now, but a genuine purpose to move the country forward consciously. You guys are great, man. Thank you. And the success and the win is already evident, so may this propel you to greater things as you evolve and you contribute.
Thank you.
All right. Looking forward to chat with you again if God's willing. All right.
Yes.
See you next time.
23rd is the motorcade. The 6th at the Westin is the final exam, as Tiffany put it. They just have a wonderful, beautiful week. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
you as
you.
well.
You
All right, thanks very much. We're going to pause and take a break, and when we come back, more Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Stay clean, stay safe, hey man. Reflections sells gallons of sanitizer for only $25. Buy 2 clip-on sanitizers for just $5. Reflections has the best KN95 masks or reusable cloth masks, and you can get 2 for only $5. Blue surgical masks and face shields are available for children and adults, as well as 10 and 50 packs of black surgical masks. Volume discounts available at Reflections, Jose's Rubus, Reflections Hemp and Tobacco, all 5 Liquor for Less locations, and Food for Less open 24 hours every day. Don't miss the Liquor for Less incredible priced better markdown. Hundreds of fine from $2.99. Cases of ice cold below wholesale prices. Save $10 off liters of absolute exclusively at Liquor for Less. Prices so low we can't say them on the radio.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from July 11th to 16th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited, whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
For information that matters to you, the people. Hear from the government, the opposition, independents, and other experts on issues and solutions that affect you. For the record. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, tune into 89.9 and 93.9 FM for Cayman's Straight Talk Morning Show. For the record.
I invite you to join me for the record. You are invited to be a part of this interesting and informative show. Embrace the opportunity to dialogue with your legislators, policymakers, and those charged with policy implementation.
For the record.
Brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors.
Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. As the community continues to take precautions from COVID-19, it is important to stay prepared for other disasters now that we're in the hurricane season. Here are some post-hurricane safety tips from the Department of Environmental Health. Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane. Debris includes roofing materials, tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles and must not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For full guidance on post-hurricane safety tips, visit www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. I'm honored now to continue our partnership with the Health Services Authority, and as we speak to the EMS manager, Mr. Stephen Duval. The hurricane season is upon us. I look at the calendar and I think, make it to the end of November, we'll be okay, unless it's 2004 and 5 all over again. The next thing that was into January. So, good afternoon to you, my friend. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing? Welcome to the public. Everyone listening, Karen Brack, Lil Cayman, everyone else.
I'm very grateful that as a community, when it comes to the hurricane season, we all seem to be growing in our preparation. A sense of we share the information, we seek out increasing the assistance of HMCI through the education and outreach. But there are many times we probably don't take to heart the urgency, the immediacy. Because a hurricane, we could get 36 hours warning. Sometimes it could be a week out, the weather service says, hey, this thing is out there, possible. We can keep an eye on it. And as it grows, but oftentimes, there's so much that we're being sort of forced to reckon with every day, all year round. Over at, what you guys do, I can only imagine that must be every minute. I
know. I mean, our recent hurricane has been the pandemic, right? so our focus has been in other places. But I think, since the giant of Hurricane Ivan, we've gradually built resilience, education, information, infrastructure. So I think we've built resilience, we've built preparation. But needless to say, I think continuous education, updates, and availability of resources is very key. And we need to have this ongoing through the hurricane season.
Yeah, and I think too, and this is where I'm really grateful, not just for the continued partnership, but specifically to focus on EMS and hurricane preparedness. Right. Or we would see a situation where, unfortunately, someone, for whatever reason, either didn't understand the urgency to do it at that time. So we're in the midst of high winds. There's something out there, and they need medical attention. Sure. But the ambulance probably, as much as you guys would want to come out, probably can't, even if you wanted to.
Absolutely. I think, I am excited every day at work because EMS continuously evolves in a sense where it has new ownership, new responsibility, and it's such a key part of not just the public health system, but the preparedness portion. So, I mean, in regards to your scenario, someone in the final hour or as they're preparing their home has sustained a significant injury, and at this point we're experiencing 45, 50 mile an hour sustained winds, and they're calling 911 for help. What then happens? It's important to note that we have to protect our staff as well. So even though the vehicles may have the capacity of maneuvering through those winds, the well-being of our staff is key. So can you imagine one of our EMS staff members steps out with sustained winds as such, and then there's a foreign object. It could be a piece of debris, zinc, and they become injured. It makes no sense for us to risk our staff in that situation. So at that point, there comes a different stage where the person would access 911, provide them pre-arrival instructions, maybe control bleeding. These are some key points to focus on. So until our staff is safe to do so, then we would have to modify our ability to respond. So that's a very unique situation. We definitely encourage people to make personal preparedness before they get to that point.
And that's the thing, as we start to think about it, that preparation has to be continual. So we have to be consistent in our minds. We're going to batten down for the impending storm, and sadly, things happen as well. But what are we thinking of before? And so are there particular things you can share with us so that as we make our preparations, that we are cognizant of?
Yeah, so specific for EMS, and we all complement different aspects of the healthcare system, whether it's pharmacy services, oncology, dialysis. Specific for EMS, what we're looking for is individuals to have personal preparedness at home. These individuals that would have had their first aid kit readily prepared, they would have had their home secured. If there's generators, ensuring that they're safe, and on the outside, if they're being used, they're well ventilated. We want to avoid things like carbon monoxide poisoning. Other concerns is we have a tendency of storing water that could be uncovered, whether it's in the bathtub or various areas. And we want to be mindful of child safety while we do that as well. The last thing you need is a child that's not being monitored entering those things. So child safety, home safety, ensuring that if you're identified in a low-lying area and you have a loved one with predisposed medical conditions, maybe they're restricted from a mobile perspective, maybe bedridden or a wheelchair, you need to identify those things in advance that they can be transported to an emergency medical shelter or a regular shelter, depending on what their needs are. So those are some of the key things for EMS perspective. The other thing is, as we prepare to shutter our homes, we have to make sure, what else are we covering? Are we now covering the house numbers? So if EMS or other services arrive, how do we identify with? Some of the simple things I would suggest, if you have a cosmetic shuttering system like a piece of plywood, those are great because then you can write your house number on there and maybe a contact number. And then that would be your new replication, so to speak, of your house number, so to speak. I mean, obviously you couldn't do that with your accordion shutters or shutters that may cost a lot more money. But I think it's important that your home is identifiable and accessible if need be. So those are some of the helpful tips from a medical perspective, from a personal preparedness.
But maybe there are things that we don't even stop to think about. Our focus is, let's get these shutters on, whether it's plywood or whether it's something that we have, the panel system, or it's already affixed to the house. We just need to put it in place.
Right.
But as you said, I'm thinking, we've done all this, but now have we put objects like our vehicles or certain things as barricades inadvertently blocking the number?
Sure, that can easily happen. So as we make our personal preparation, like I said, those shutters that we're installing, they can be useful. Again, they can replicate house numbers, a contact number. In the event we arrive and there's search and rescue, that number could be an accessibility of, hey, are you inside? Are you well? We're here. We have received a report. So those all help in a search and rescue perspective.
Yeah, and perhaps because we're thinking it's more convenient for us, we may park our vehicles in certain parts in the yard, maybe very, very as close to the front door as possible, or to some particular point of entry.
Yeah, I
wonder if we should be cognizant. Does that, in the event that emergency personnel need to get to the home, will that inhibit them getting in because the car now is right in front of the front door, or it's by the back door, or it's blocking the driveway?
Absolutely. Those are all key things. Anything that restricts ease of access to your thoroughway, to your residence, can restrict our ability to provide assistance. Naturally, we would already have environmental things that would play challenges, trees and limbs and so forth. But things as cars and objects that would take a tremendous or impossible task of moving would hinder our ability. So be mindful as you're preparing, securing your home, securing your cars, but allowing ease of access to emergency services to provide the support.
You referenced earlier, we were talking to EMS manager, Mr. Duval. Stephen, as we're chatting with you, I'm thinking of us who are maybe getting ready for the summer. We're going to take a little travel with the family.
Sure. Yeah.
Some have pre-existing medical conditions, so we have would be a bevy of medications. We have our cocktails, we have our medication.
Yeah, the classic ones, diabetes and hypertension. Right. Those are the two ones at some point we spend some time with.
And if as we are traveling, we're going to take this with us so that we have our requisite supply. But during the hurricane, the household of 4, let's make it simple. Are there particular things we should do so that just in case EMS comes, our medications are accessible? The person may be not able to share exactly what is what. Should the medications be properly labeled in a proper container that's accessible to them, that they can know what is happening?
Yeah, no, those are keys. I think your personal well-being, documents you keep at home, passport, anything travel related for ease of access, as well as your medication for dependency, is always highly suggested to be kept in a sealed, watertight container, whether it's a Ziploc, double sealed. It needs to be accessible, it needs to be standardized, it needs to be shared with all the family members. So there is general knowledge that in case one person becomes obtunded or affected, everyone is aware of what their personal preparedness plan is. Often we've suggested things like putting notices and information on fridge doors where there's a standardized approach globally. When you talk about EMS response, first responders, we normally look in the vicinity of the kitchen where some medications may need to be stored refrigerated or kept in a designated spot. So just having, again, reviewing your passport, your ESTAs, your visas, your medication supply. Are they stored? And to be honest with you, best practice to store it the same way all year long, especially your personal documents, right? But having everyone on the same page, communicating with your kids is important.
And again, back to that multifamily household or more than one individual, if even one person only has one medication, or some may have many, keep each person's medication in a separate container, airtight, watertight, and labeled.
Perfect.
So this is for John, this is for Mary, and All right.
Absolutely. It's safe practice. Medication management, even internal within health services, is something we take very, very seriously. So having individuals' medications not collectively together, but personalized and documented is very, very key.
Yeah. And I think, as you talk about best practice, something that we should do every day, all year round. But when there is an impending disaster, we're under a hurricane threat, we can see the weather change. Many of us get a little bit anxious, a little bit apprehension.
Us all.
It happens, right?
Absolutely.
And so if we have this as an ongoing practice, then that's one less thing. We just need to double check. It's here. Make it accessible. Put it in a place that is good.
Yeah. I think there's a natural level of anxiousness when a storm presents itself with a projected path. I think it's important for us to remain informed, listen to key messaging, hazard management or local weather services, not necessarily ad hoc information, which can simply heighten anxiety and maybe misinformation. So I think the area is to focus on key reputable information from hazard management or the weather services and make personal preparation. I mean, I can't reiterate it enough that family preparedness and discussions are key. Making sure that things are in place, that your level of preparedness is improved. Oftentimes we see the lines at A.L. Thompson, why? Everybody needs plywood. But they were there last week. Yeah. The supermarkets are flooded. However, they were there last week. So I think not being reactive is important. That creates a cluster of various things. Roads becomes impassable, gas stations become flooded. So I think just general preparation each week, each month is very key. That is not a reactive when you hear hurricane is coming. So I think those are some other points that I think will reduce anxiety and so forth.
And it's bare, I just say repetition, because it's not just a discussion, in the month of June or, as an exercise in preparation for that. It's a continual practice. We may go through the year with nothing. We may go through the year where it seems like every day that there's a threat.
I know. The disadvantage to that is the word called complacency, right? Yeah. And then we kind of become a bit lax. But yeah, you're right. I think just through dialogue and these conversations and information is being sent up from various agencies are key just to keep the thought process stimulated and aware.
Yeah, and I think this problem's part to do with the family and the interaction with the personal physicians and the like. But maybe that family member need to now look at, do I stay in the home? Do I need to be elsewhere?
For sure.
And at what point?
No, absolutely. That's key because the various times that I visited, I encouraged family members that had individuals that needed care that they deemed would need EMS assistance in transport to communicate with their public health nurse, go to the public health facility within their respective districts and make that mention. Every year we get a list from public health that's updated and it identifies the vulnerable and who will require assistance to get to designated EMCs. So we have 7 EMCs, emergency medical shelters in Grand Cayman, 1 in the BRAC, 1 in actually 2 in Cayman BRAC. So it's important that you're identified early, that the transportation process and management of those patients being transferred is key. So being aware of what your needs are, what your vulnerabilities are, let's mitigate it and plan for it is important.
And I think this is where, that transport, as you shared, we are very, very grateful. I can only imagine the added, workload on you.
Yeah, Dwayne, we've been. I think collectively we need to pat ourselves on the back of diversifying the services we provide. Previously, EMS. When I say EMS, I mean specific. The emergency medical response has always been inundated with a multifaceted request, whether it's a non-emergency transport, a time-sensitive transport, while an emergency is pending. So in the establishment of our non-emergency transport system, we can better service our patients who require dialysis, appointment-driven physiotherapy, and meet those expectations while providing a parallel service of emergency care. So the diversification and the growth of the department is something I think we're all collectively proud of.
And as you referenced earlier, and we're talking to Stephen Duval, the EMS manager over the HSA, dialysis and hypertension, but the dialysis patient, if we have a few days where there's significant weather, that person still needs that level of treatment, that, sort of customary.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Our dialysis team, like most departments in our organization, we have a huddle each morning, and it's always impressive of how in tune the leadership is with each department. An example, dialysis, if those things are forecast, those patients are contacted and brought in much earlier to be dialyzed. That provides them that window. So there's a lot of those contingency plans internally that are tapped into.
Yeah. We got a quick little break.
Sure.
I'm so very grateful to you and your team for taking time, and hopefully as a public we start to not only hear this information, we take it on board, we understand the roles that we can play. So when we come back, a few more minutes of your time and we can share. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office. Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Have you heard? This year's Queen Elizabeth II Botanic Park 5K Run Walk has been rescheduled and will be taking place on Sunday, July 17th to raise funds for the Children's Garden. Registration fee is just $25 and you get a t-shirt and breakfast. Not to mention a chance to win a prize, and they even have a prize for the best fascinator design. It all happens Sunday, July 17th at the Botanic Park in Northside. Race starts at 6:30 a.m. Registration now at racecaribbean.net. Sponsored by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage, Cayman National Bank, Davenport Development, Coca-Cola, Cayman First, Water Authority Cayman, Logic, Chris Global. It's Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary, and we're celebrating with you. If it's your 50th birthday in 2022, we have a $50 gift card for you. If you're celebrating your 50th wedding anniversary or higher, it's $500. We'll also donate $50,000 to charities and increase the rewards for store purchases too. Purchases of $500 will receive branded gifts, while purchases of $100 gain entry into our monthly sweepstakes with prizes from luxury brands. View terms and conditions on KirkFreeport.com.
Capella Music Festival is coming Saturday, July 16th to the Festival Green at Camana Bay, featuring international stars Charlie XCX, Michael Bolton, Barris Hammond, Maxi Priest, and Wyclef Jean, alongside a big lineup of local performers. For full details and to purchase tickets now, visit CapellaMusicFestival.com. Brought to you by Camana Bay, Cayman Islands Department of Tourism, Corona, Cayman Airways, Coca-Cola.
Inaja Productions, in association with Cash Wiz Cayman, presents Cash Wiz Cayman Kids Got Talent Show.
At Pinnacle Sunday,
July 17. Start the summer right and come out. Support and cheer on our kids as they show off their God-given talent. Showtime 5 p.m. Tickets are available at Cash Wiz Cayman and at the gate. Admission only $15. Part proceeds go to Feed Our Future. So join us on July 17 and experience an evening of talent. Cayman Kids Got Talent is sponsored by Cash Wiz, CUC Health City,
Cayman National Bank,
People's Choice Groceries, LED Lighting Engineering and Design, KPMG, Seaport Marine,
General Automotive Services, Maxwell Plumbing Services, Party Animal, Breezy Production,
Radio Cayman, Breeze FM, and Inaja Productions.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome, Mike, and thanks for sharing with us. And thanks to Stephen Duval, the EMS manager over at HSC. as we joke about it. Today is sometime in July. We wonder what date it is. Before we know it, it's going to be New Year's Eve. And God's willing, there is any threatened system for any of us anywhere in the Caribbean. Right. But it happens. Yeah. And being prepared, I think, is key to not just a survival, but a sense of self and state of mind. But we don't always appreciate that from your perspective.
For sure.
So 911, there's a call, but how does that affect us? So.
Absolutely. Again, we talked about EMS and the role it plays in hurricane preparedness, hurricane response, and the multi-agency approach and the collaboration. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a team effort. I think, again, when I look and discuss with other regional partners, we have such an impressive system of communication, activation, collaboration, but that's only as good as we share it, and for our community to be aware and how to access it. Some amazing things Stephen touched on, like the CERT teams within communities, CERT teams within the communities that have spent so many months, weeks preparing, understanding their community and having the ability of responding and functioning within hours. Our regiment is available. You're looking at the dynamics of the fire department, police, but our health system in general. So I think we have such an impressive system. It's sharing it and is identifying with our community how to access it, when and when not to. That's equally important. One of the key things is the HSA itself is not a designated shelter. So there's always that anxiousness. Well, what do we do now? So, when we're looking at this very critical stage, in case someone needs admission, we're looking at individuals that are in life-threatening conditions. Someone is having difficulty breathing, chest pain, has been in a significant accident. These are things that we would, but we want the public to know. Look at your personal preparedness at home. Look at your shelters within the communities and identify whether they're medically necessary or generally necessary. And then take your personal preparedness kit with you, whether it's your little sleeping bag, your favorite blanket, all the things that would make you comfortable for that 12 to 24 hours.
Yeah, and this is where that personal response, personal preparedness, but coming together, and as you referenced, the CERT teams, I hope it's appropriate to everyone. I'm a strong champion proponent for what I think that the training offers for the wider community. So maybe it's an opportune time that if we're not a member or if we're not aware of the members of the CERT team, to reach out to them, because we could be an added resource.
If we can build a community that's resilient and self-dependent, what other success story can that be?
You are listening to Radio
We can draw on us. That's a cue, huh?
I know. But other individuals that I would hate to remiss is like the NGOs, like the Red Cross. Just so many people. But it's always great to come and sit and talk about what EMS represents as part of the HSA and the community. So if there's any questions or anything,
that through this discussion, that more and more of us, not just as parents, not just as educators, but as young adults, would consider healthcare sector, and in particular, being a part of the EMS, and reach out to you guys and understand that this is truly a very rewarding, satisfying, gratifying endeavor. So
you're spot on, Dwayne. We have invested heavily in our training program. We have an EMT program going on now, where as we look to expand to Bontown, we want to invest locally. And that's what we're developing. The next generation of first responders.
Could I ask you this in closing, because I've always believed that we need to ensure that people understand that the career opportunities exist beyond what we may have been told by our parents or by our teachers. And those are good career choices, I'm confident. But sometimes we don't know about something. If someone was interested in EMS in particular, what would be their first port of contact?
So you have two options. You can communicate directly with our human resource department, who would gather some basic information from you, and then put you directly in touch with me. I thoroughly enjoy spending that 20 minutes understanding what your needs are, and hopefully informing you in a very broad perspective what EMS is about. because I want for you to do as much research and appreciate what you're finding along the way. EMS has so much diversities, and it also leads you in different directions. I think it's one of the most dynamic fields. So in your answer to your question, reach out to our health service department, human resource section. They themselves will then gather that information, communicate directly with me where we can have a sit down and discussion and give you a solid pathway as to what options are available.
Thank you, man. And we've got some wonderful team members. I trust and pray that each time you guys are on shift and otherwise that you continue to be safe and,
for sure.
And we as a public to be respectful. So, Stephen, always a pleasure, man.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful rest of the afternoon.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the public and the support they provide for us. And as usual, any opportunity to thank our staff is always impressive. They're always important.
They're an impressive team, man. So thank you.
Thank you, too.
All right, we're going to pause and take a break, and when we return, it'll be some open line. Let's see if I can engage you in some discussion. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Isolated showers are expected today due to an upper-level trough over the Yucatan Channel, and light easterly winds and slight seas will continue across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours due to a weak pressure gradient across the Caribbean. Satellite images show scattered multi-layered clouds over the Cayman Islands drifting towards the west. There will be partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of afternoon showers, and temperatures will rise to the upper 80s. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. Soaring temperatures have gripped parts of Europe, which has barely recovered from its last heat wave. Droughts and forest fires have hit Spain and Portugal, and the scorching heat has spread to France and the UK. Temperatures are set to peak on Thursday in France and Spain, and authorities have cancelled traditional fireworks displays on France's National Day to reduce the risk of fires. And as a crowd assembled outside the United States Supreme Court, waiting for its landmark abortion ruling last month, Kristen Hawkins stood front and center. She held a microphone in her left hand and a sign in her right. I am the post-Roe generation, it said, a signature of her group Students for Life of America, one of the largest anti-abortion organizations in the country. Ms. Hawkins read the court's decision in real time, shouting the words into her microphone, "The Constitution does not confer the right to abortion." It was a generational victory for the anti-abortion movement, but for Ms. Hawkins, it was just a start. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
We wanna go and
Backyard, Caymanian and Jamaican cuisine. 7 Mile Beach might have changed, but Backyard is bringing it back. True Caribbean food in the heart of 7 Mile, just like Mama's home cooking. Brown stew snapper, Cayman-style beef, jerk chicken, turtle stew, and the delicious list goes on. Dine in, take out, or order with the Bento app. Backyard, Caymanian and Jamaican cuisine, 269 West Bay Road, or call 746-4603. Backyard, daily lunch specials, and the one-of-a-kind Fun Day Sunday brunch.
Backyard.
Ray, are we ready for the next You Are Saying?
Yep, this time the topic is Duppies.
Duppies.
Yeah, that's ghost to you tourists.
What's your Duppies?
I never believed them, but I have a Dupper story. So if you tune in, you can hear my story and you can call in and tell me your Dupper stories, because we know there's people out there that got Dupper stories that afraid to talk about it. So call in and tell us your Dupper story.
Duppies on the next You Are Saying.
Next You Are Saying. Boy, stop touching me. I'm real. I just clear skin like this. I know I need to get some sun.
You look like a Duppy. So Friday the 15th.
Friday the 15th, join us for Siwa Saying Duppies.
Siwa Saying is a special feature of Talk Today with contributions from the National Museum, a language, history, and culture show on Radio Cayman 89.9 and 93.9 FM.
Talk Today. But I do have some questions.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And you may feel like some of us do that, wow, it's only Tuesday. Is it the weather, or is it just the heat and the summer? It's a bit lackluster. Well, let's see if together we can generate some energy and we can build together that sense of cohesion. It's open line 949-8037 or 949-6990. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. But of course, Flo has provided a toll-free call, so you can use that. 1-800-534-8255. I had an interesting discussion earlier. Small group of individuals were sharing a perspective, and following that, they decided, well, why don't we open the group a little bit larger, invite a few others. So a number of students who, as they sort of get ready to change from one path to the next, were in attendance. And the discussion was on not just, political maturity, but political knowledge. And they were looking at our Constitution. Just a sort of a quick overview of how much do we know about it. And what was striking is that, well, we don't really know a whole lot. Some of the things that we think should be or isn't. And then the discussion went to the whole issue that, well, we are under the Westminster model. We're seeing what is happening in the UK. And one of the students asked, well, is that democracy? To which, the adults say, well, yeah, of course it is. As the student was given a platform and asked the question, well, you're going to have a new prime minister selected by the party, but not necessarily by the direct electorate. I'll share with you some sentiments, but let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
You sure you thanking me for calling you?
Of course, sir. Especially you, Mr. George. How are you today?
All right. Well, I good, Let's when we hear the news from Radio Cayman and other radio stations, I am good.
Yes, thank God for that. Yeah.
I am still alive and I'm still serving a real and living God.
Remember that.
Just a couple of little questions I'd like to ask you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I would like to know if you can find out for me, because I asked a lot of people a question, and I have some close politicians friends that I asked them some years back, and they couldn't really give me the answer, tell me why. They told me some stories, but and I believe that stories would tell me was true. But, Mr. Sterling, we got a lot of criminals here in this island, many, from all parts of the world. And why isn't Cayman Islands do not have a fingerprint machine? I heard several years back that they did have one, but it was never, put together. It wasn't active. And they tell me that they did not want to discriminate certain people. And that is why it was never,
But then what is the point of the fingerprint machine from your perspective? Is it not to know perhaps more accurately, the person in front of you because of the biometrics?
Now, you're the law now, and I'm the other side of the law, so I do not know. But I want to know, because everywhere that I went, I see, in even third world countries, I see that they got fingerprint machine. Why isn't Cayman having a fingerprint machine, that they would eliminate a lot of this problem? I had some friends of mine tell me that they went to the UK a few days ago, and some of them had a UK passport and some of them had a Cayman passport. And they didn't fingerprint the UK passport people, but they fingerprinted the Cayman Islands passport people.
Is that something that you have?
America, Cuba, Jamaica, they all got fingerprint machine, and the big countries. So why doesn't Cayman? Could you find out that for me? That is really what I would like to know.
What else would you like to know? I mean, besides that,
Sir?
What else would you like to know?
Oh yeah, plenty of things I like to know, but nobody not gonna answer us.
Well, maybe when you ask the questions increasingly, perhaps more and more of us would start to hear the questions and maybe repeat them and demand the answers.
This is certainly making me laugh, man, because I can't hear no news. What is going on in Cayman? There's only certain news we can hear, and most of that is foreign. Well, we can't hear no local news.
Is it then that
because, like I say, Mr. Sterling, plenty of criminals here, and working, and they come in and get married too.
Well, that's probably the world over. Huh?
Well, listen, I came across 2 this week, or between last week and this week. That I know that they were in prison in a certain country. I visited the prison. And they are here, and they are married, and they are living a life, and they do not want to go back. How did they get here?
Well, I guess many would speculate, but I would just ask then, if someone has done something, and let's say they went to prison and they now want to start over, shouldn't it be that we say, okay, that person has paid his or her debt to society, is deserving of another chance, to make a better life?
Excuse me, Mr. Sterling, they got criminal records. We got to stop being nice, man. We too sweet. We not white sugar, We brown sugar.
Well, isn't brown sugar better?
Because that's why they're taking advantage of us, Mr. Sterling.
But you can still be.
What's the Prime Minister? Sterling? I've been in certain places that I hearing people talking. And when they talking, I play like I'm a dumb man listening, and I shock for the stuff that they're saying, about the Cayman Islands. They got Cayman for a cesspool.
Well,
anybody can come in and do what they want and get away. And what we got to do, because we're a Christian society, we got to allow them. But then even him, the good book says, he will not always strive with man, because at the time that he stops, he stops you, But the part with that, Mr. Sterling, nowhere else in the world that they can be the way that they do in the Cayman Islands. And then if they even respected us, but they're not respecting us, they are here for their purpose. Now they got some good people here, from all parts of the world, because I am not one-sided. I'm very level. They got good and bad all over. They got some of what's bad too, right here. But what I'm saying, Mr. Sterling, there got to be boundaries, If you come here, respect us. That's all we ask. But going back, I'm going to finish, Mr. Sterling. Somebody else need to answer the question if they can tell me, why doesn't Cayman have a fingerprint machine in all of these governments that it would have been over the years, nobody putting it in? Why? Please find out that for me. And I'll bring you a box of chocolate. I got 2 boxes here. I'll bring you 1 box. Cadbury.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too. All right, gotta take a break. Final break. Not too long. Stay tuned.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
It's Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary, and we're celebrating with you. If it's your 50th birthday in 2022, we have a $50 gift card for you. If you're celebrating your 50th wedding anniversary or higher, it's $500. We'll also donate $50,000 to charities and increase the rewards for store purchases too. Purchases of $500 will receive branded gifts, while purchases of $100 gain entry into our monthly sweepstakes with prizes from luxury brands. View terms and conditions on KirkFreeport.com.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
For the month of July, the Needs Assessment Unit will hold their district visits as follows. Friday, 15th July, the Needs Assessment Unit will be in Bordentown from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bordentown Public Library. And on Friday, 22nd July, NAU will hold a district visit in West Bay from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the West Bay Public Library.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome, Mike, and thanks for sharing with us as we go straight to the phones. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hey, good afternoon.
The last caller said about the fingerprint machine and these criminals that we have in Cayman. If you could find out and let us know how many people we have working in border control and how much money is government wasting on this stupid so-called revitalization of Georgetown, because it looks like the name needs to be changed from Seafarers Way now to Destruction Way, because it is becoming an eyesore. So if they had to put some nice planters out there with some, even the periwinkle plants, it would have looked much better than thatch trees and coconut trees out there, because that's not a suitable place for them. I don't know why they put these tall trees in places where cars are on the road, vehicles are traveling on the road and people are walking. Is it because they want them to blow down during a hurricane or a high wind, northwest or whatever? Because all along Camana Bay is a seam. The place down is also full of bush. Who is going to decide to clean up that mess down there? Leave Georgetown how it is. The Lord made it the way it was. And I would like them to stop destroying it and wasting money on it, because that is a perfect waste. If you ever heard about money being wasted, government wasting money, well, that's exactly what they're doing there. That's my opinion, and many more people too. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And to the caller's point, then what do we do when we see that the government at times? Well, thank you very much for that call. And for those who are listening, weigh in, share your thoughts with us. 949-8037. Toll free, the compliments of flow if you so choose at 1-800-534-8255. And to the caller's point, a lot of things are happening. And sometimes, we may not exactly understand what is transpiring because we probably feel that we weren't sufficiently informed, or we may not have had an opportunity to look at the information if it was sent out, or it may have been sent out some time back and now needs to be revised or to be again resent so that it's before us. The challenge, though, to what extent are we able to draw alongside and participate, contribute, and feel as if our thoughts or actions are not only welcome but perhaps will not fall on deaf ears, as they say. One man's meat, they say, is another man's poison. Hey, 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Share with us. I just want quickly to remind our listeners that on Friday we had a chance to have the show, the Dapper Show, as Ray Banker is calling it, and we want you to share with us any particular stories that you may have experienced personally, may have been told to you. And there's much, as we were doing some research for the program, that we've discovered, but we want you to be a part of it, as always. It's not just entertain, but maybe it's to remind ourselves how things have changed, but how our experiences have been so similar. Now, tomorrow, we've got a couple of good discussions, and we'll want to remind you to be a part of that before we close out. But let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Hello?
Hey.
Yeah, and another thing. I saw on the internet where this expat man chopped up his wife. Chopped her up really, really bad. Was supposed to have spent 14 years in jail. And now he's talking about releasing him. Now, you could tell me they're not going to give him a deportation order? They stop deporting people for committing such heinous crimes? They should have deported him after 1 year that he spent in jail.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous how they allow these people to come here and take advantage and get away with it.
Well, is this something? Well, you know what? That's our perspective, and maybe we'll see, the community weighing in, but the judiciary and all of their sort of related authorities doing what perhaps is reflective of what's best, huh? All right.
I don't think so.
Anything else you want to share with us?
Well, this parade that is coming up the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why the governor or the premier need to join them in it. Because if we were parading for our rights, they probably wouldn't join us in it. So I don't think they should stoop that low.
But what about the idea that their presence would sort of convey a solidarity, that we're all, human, that there needs to be a sense of equalness, a sense of respect and love and accommodation and tolerance?
Oh, dear Jesus, a sense of equalness, that's not equalness.
Okay.
The Lord made Adam and the Lord made Eve. It's supposed to be a man and a woman together.
Mm-hmm.
And if it was just men to men and women to women, what kind of population would we have?
Well, certainly is a perspective that many would probably share, but others may openly disagree. What then do we do in our society as we move forward?
Well, we need to let them understand they need to follow the Bible, follow the Lord, and go to church and live a good Christian life.
Mm-hmm. And for those who would openly disagree with that, or would point to the inconsistencies or the sort of less than savory practices emanating from some, what would you share?
Say that again?
Sorry, when someone would look at the church and say, well, in that body, we're not only seeing, illegal practices, but immoral practices. We're seeing, and it's just, saying globally, we're seeing behaviors that have caused many to be turned away from the church, as it were. What do we do to address that failure on the part of the church?
Well, the problem is a lot of them is the devil's church, as far as I'm concerned, not God's church.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they would do the right things, not the wrong things. But some of them is only using religion as an excuse to get a stay in Cayman and to be a preacher and make easy money.
Now, is there something we can do about that? How do we address that if so?
Oh, dear Lord, stop giving them a work permit, especially for nothing. Make them pay for it. We have to pay for words.
Yes, well. Again, accountability, right? Being responsible and then being actively engaged, right?
Exactly, but they need. There's too many different churches allowed to operate in Cayman, and it's a pure rocket, and everybody can. Blind Bartimaeus could see that it's a rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Certain ones of those churches. We have good ones, we have bad ones, but we need to weed out the bad ones.
Well, I guess that's just referring, they're good and bad in all of us in almost everything, right?
Yeah, that might be so, but we need to weed out the bad churches and try to keep the good ones and make people fall in the right direction.
How do we do that? And how do we identify that this is good and that is bad when it comes to the churches in particular?
It's just like a child. If a child is good, you can identify him. A child misbehaves, you can identify that, right? It should be the same thing with these churches.
Should be. But are we turning a blind eye to some things because of...
It should even be more noticeable and more scrutinized.
Okay.
Anyway, I have to go now. Thank
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye.
God bless, ma'am. Thank you, too, for you too, ma'am. And maybe that caller would inspire others to be as vocal and as, willing to share so that we have that healthy sense of discussion. Well, tomorrow, the Honorable Bernie Bush will join us together with members of his team at the first part of the program. And we have also a discussion with the Honorable Speaker of the House as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Parliament building at 1:45. And, it's interesting to see where we are. I'm hoping that as part of an ongoing celebration of the talent that we have in our community will be our first discussion at the start of the program, and then the Honorable Minister for Culture and his group will join us until 1:45, and then the Honorable Speaker will take us through for the end of the program. And now on Thursday, get a chance to focus on some thought leadership and look into poetry, as Leonard Dilbert will be our guest. And then Friday, Ray Banker comes in and he wants us to be reminded that let's talk about the duppies in our community and have you share some of those stories that may have experienced yourself, may have been part of the things that were told to you growing up. Who knows? Well, that is tomorrow. I must share. I had a quick look at the calendar again to remind myself that it is Tuesday, and a bit lackluster, but it is nonetheless Tuesday. So as you go through the rest of the day, maybe a productive one, and as you sit pensively, maybe something that you find in that thought that rejuvenates and causes you to look with hopeful expectation. Until tomorrow, we invite you to join me start in the morning for the record and come back for Talk Today right after the midday news. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.